couple of days ago, I watched the movie The Surfer that comes out this weekend, stars Nicolas Cage, and let's talk about it. So I got this movie as an early access screener from Pixel Scene Media. This is the same company that sent me the screener for Bob Trevino Likes It. Again, this is not a paid partnership. I'm not being paid for my review. It's just a cool opportunity to watch the movie early. In exchange for watching the movie early, they asked that I post a review on it. Now, these people know my content, so they know. You want me to see this movie and you want me to review it, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say what I think. I will say though, like getting access to screeners like a real critic, it's kind of cool. But anyways, let's talk about this movie. Like I said, I watched this movie a couple of days ago and I've just been sitting on it, really trying to wrap my head around it before I just got on here and just said something, because what a trip. Directed by Irish filmmaker Lorcan Finnegan, this is an Australian film starring Nicolas Cage about a man who is desperate and possibly in denial, because the movie starts off with him and his son in the car. He's taking his son out of school so they can go surfing on the beach right where he grew up, where he's trying to buy a house. Actually, this house is like an old house. It's something that a family member used to own and he's looking to move back into it. This is a man who is on the verge of losing everything important to him, and he's just trying to gain some of that back by any means necessary. In an entitled sense, if you will, pulling his son out of school, being at this beach where he's clearly not welcomed, because according to the people that live there, if you don't live there, you can't surf there, locals only. And it's not like he's special or anything, because we see where they're hostile to other people who show up to the beach and they don't live there, going so far as to assault someone for just trying to talk to them calmly. Like, these are a bunch of young 20-somethings who think they own this beach, and this man, whom we only know of as a surfer, is determined to stake his claim. I belong here, I'm entitled to be here. Now, once upon a time, movies that took you for a mental trip used to be my jam, but I think after Beau Was Afraid, that Ari Aster film, I have a little PTSD. The mental trip starts in the very beginning. We're given a lot of clues as to where this movie is going to take us. Number one, we have the music, which to me sounds almost childlike and very infantile. It's just very out of sync to the visuals, because the visuals are very hot. Think Twilight. Remember how the first film had that kind of blue hue over the entire movie to let us know that the environment was very cold, damp, cloudy? Think the opposite. Now, we have all these other visual clues that the climate is warm, okay? They're at the beach, people are in their bathing suits, they're surfing, it's bright outside, not a cloud in the sky, we know it's hot. But the fact that we can almost see the heat rising off the asphalt, when you're watching a movie and everything seems kind of wavy because it's hot, it has that effect to it as well. Also, the colors seem to be very orange, very red. We need to know that this movie is hot. Not so much that, oh yeah, it's hot outside, but it's hostile. And not just hostile, but it's a little loopy. It's a little crazy. We're about to get our brains scrambled. There is a shot when the son is sitting in the car. Now, this is Australia, right? So they drive on the right side of the car. We drive on the left. So the passenger seat in Australia will be on the left. Well, the son is sitting on the left side of the car in the passenger seat, and we're looking at him, via the lens, and it looks like he's on the other side of the car in the driver's seat, but he's not. And it's weird. It's very strange. And it took me a moment to realize that we're looking at him through the side mirror, which flips the image. That's intentional. Looking back, I kind of appreciate that psychedelic pull into the movie, because then it gets weird, and then reality gets twisted, because there's also this homeless man who's living in this car, and homeboy drives a Lexus, and he refuses to leave the parking lot even though he's been threatened time and time again. The police will not help him. The so-called real estate who's showing the house where he wants to buy claims to not recognize him. He doesn't have any battery on his phone, and he's trying to get it charged, and he ends up handing his watch to somebody as collateral so that he can use a charger or something or other, or he can get food. And all of a sudden his appearance becomes more disheveled, and it's like, I'm not explaining it very well, and that's because the movie doesn't explain it very well, but in a good way. We have these moments of flashbacks and almost flash forwards where we're getting a peek inside of his mind, his mindset. We can understand where he's coming from and why this is so important to him. But the problem with these flashbacks and even these flash forwards is it's messing with reality. Again, as his appearance becomes more disheveled and he starts to look like this homeless man, it makes you kind of wonder, Are we really seeing what's really happening? Like, is he really sitting in his Lexus at the beach? Or is he a homeless man who just won't go away, who is just bothering the beach folk, who is just, who's, been out of it for so long, he's completely lost his mind? Like, is that what's happening here? Is this real? Is this really happening? Is what he's experienced, what we've seen so far, is it reality? This is one of those movies where reality is just one giant question mark. And for me, that's frustrating, but I also enjoy that kind of frustrating. Ultimately, what this movie is about, I don't want to give too much away. I thought the movie was excellent. I say like a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a good cinematic effort. It's different. It's very different. No one's making movies like these anymore. Everyone wants to be very straightforward, simple, and taking very little risk. This movie takes a lot of risk, and not just giving us a lot of just extra cinematic elements that aren't used anymore, like, using the color and the tint of the film to kind of give us a clue as to the mood of the movie, zooming in. Nobody zooms in anymore unless it's the vertigo effect. The way the music is just so uncharacteristically like the mood of the film. It's very jarring. So yeah, I love the risk taking here. I think Nicolas Cage is just incredible in this. He goes full out 100%, very much like Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid, where it's like, you know what? Here we go. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And he does it. But back to what I was trying to say. So what this movie ultimately about is, basically talking about is toxic masculinity, if you will. That whole boys will be boys narrative that we hear. And it's challenging that. Basically kind of putting it on display and showing us what it is and allowing us to kind of decide how we feel about it, but also seeing how that mentality, this boys will be boys and letting boys be boys and go unchecked, how that affects the environment, how that affects neighborhoods and communities, and ultimately also how it affects women. Commentary isn't shoved into your face from the jump. We're eased into it, kind of like we're eased into the very frustrating nature and mood of the film, but we are getting a peek into what the director wants to say through Nicolas Cage's character and his just sense of entitlement. And we are allowed as the audience to be disgusted by his behavior. Am I making any sense? The movie does come out this weekend, but a lot's going on. So you have Sinners that's still out, Thunderbolts, and then you have a couple of smaller movies that are also out this weekend. The Surfer is one of them. So if you see it, let me know what you think.